Hey there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Hey Little Magpie, featuring Rosie's Studio Beautiful Dreamer range. That's what you can see in front of me there, the 12 by 12 papers, the 6 by 6 pad, the ephemera and lots of other bits and pieces that they do. Would really recommend checking this out. So I really like this foiled like starburst paper, and I picked a picture of my daughter that I wanted to put in the centre, and just using a metal die I cut it into a circle. So I'm going through the 6 by 6 pads because I want to put some layers of paper behind the photograph, and I'm just seeing which ones that I would prefer. Tending to go with a pink and black grey colour scheme initially, so that's the sort of papers that I've pulled out. I'm just opening some of these ephemera packs. One's mixed ephemera, one's mainly flowers and leaves, and I'm going to have a look through those in just a moment. So Rosie Studio is a range that I've not used before, so I was interested to see how it was and how it worked, and so far so good. Really interested in it. Just so you can see, I've cut 2 circles using 2 more dies to go behind the photograph. What I noticed is there was a different, the paper pad, the 12 by 12 paper, there was they're all different in there, but in the 6 by 6 pad there are repeats. The ephemera actually has repeats as well, and so do the flowers. But actually, particularly in the flowers, that really doesn't matter. But obviously in the ephemera, I suppose if you find a shape you don't like, then you've got 2 of them. But actually, I'm not too bothered, and I wanted to definitely use some of the ephemera either side of this photograph. So I've provisionally chosen what I wanted. It's not set in stone, but I brought in a old Sizzix die set called Trixie Girl, and I'm using one of the black papers. I've actually cut out my title, which is Shine Bright. I'm now going to add some of the sequins shortly to the starburst pattern, and I've picked out some complementary coloured sequins that are in that lid just there on the left. Obviously at this stage I haven't actually stuck anything down, and before I do any sewing on the back, I decided it would be easier to have the centre bit stuck down, because then I'd know where to go. Usually I would do the sewing in advance, but actually I'm not quite sure where I want it to be, so it's easier to work the other way around this time. So I'm just using some double-sided tape to stick the layers together. I haven't distressed the layers because actually the dies have done like a bit of a dotted sewing line when it's cut the paper out, so I'm quite happy to leave them in situ because they will go with the sewing that I'm going to do shortly. So I'm just going to make sure that is pretty much central in this starburst. So I'm just going to get that into place. I've just moved a bit of the title so that I can actually get that where I want it, and I'm just going to position the letters back around it, above and below the circle. Now, because I die cut them out of one of the papers, they are actually very much a paper rather than a cardstock. So I'm going to actually put some foam pad on the back just to be able to lift them off the layout. So I'm just going to cut some foam pads up to make them into smaller pieces, just so that actually they don't show underneath the letters. Now this can be a bit fiddly to do, but I do like the result when they finally are actually all raised up. So it's just worth me taking my time to get this done. I won't subject you to all of it, just the first few as I'm getting myself organised, and then I'll get them all stuck down. So here they are, all stuck to the layout and ready for me to think about the ephemera either side. So I've picked out the pieces that I chose earlier on. They're not set in stone, but they were my first initial choices, and I definitely want some black on either side to mirror the black in the photo and the black in the title. So I'm just going to have a fiddle about with both clusters to see how I want them to go. So I really would recommend you checking out these Rosie Studio ranges at Hey Little Magpie. There's obviously new ranges and things are being added all the time, but as I say, this is one I'd overlooked up to now, and there's definitely a couple of new ranges in that category, and really reasonably priced as well, and lots of choices of extras that you can add to it. So I particularly like the little puffy stickers and the title words as well that will be used on another layout, I'm sure. And yes, as I say, check it out, have a good look round when you've got the time, and lots on offer at Hey Little Magpie. So I think I'm pretty much ready with the right hand cluster there. I did extend the black frame and cut it and make it longer because I wanted the black to appear both sides. This left hand cluster is not coming together quite so easily, and I think, do you not always find that one always goes together better than the other? I mean, obviously they're different. I've got different pieces of ephemera and bits in that left hand one. I really love the girl with the wings on the back. I think that's beautifully drawn, and I really want to use that on that left hand side. Plus that black frame, that's from the chipboard set. I think there's a couple of chipboard pieces get added to that collection of bits on the left. So I'm just going to double check that I've not missed anything that I would really like to include. I just want to try and balance the two sides out. Obviously, even though this is a circular design that I'm thinking of, I do like the idea of the clusters just either side, just touching the photograph. None of those bits are totally relevant to the photograph, but they're all in keeping colour-wise, and they're all very feminine, and I think they go really well with this picture. Picture was taken in graduation, if looking at the hood, so it really needed to be scrapped. So I brought in a punch, and out of one of these 6x6 papers, I've just punched out some stars, 2 to go either side of the title, and that makes that feel a bit more circular, and I like the way that now all looks together. So I'm just going to add another bit of 3D foam on the back of these just to actually stick them down, because obviously they're actually like embossed stars that I've punched, so they do need a little bit of foam to get them stuck down easily. So I'm already mentally thinking of the next thing that I want to do, and I brought in some gold thread, and that's the pricking mat, and I've got a fine needle, and the idea is I want to add some sequins to some of the gold starburst on the paper. So all to bring your attention back into the centre, but also to echo the shine bright element of the title. So I'm using some gold thread, and it's not too long because it's the sort of thread that gets quite knotty. And what I'm doing is I'm fishing in the sequins, and I'm going to add 1, 2 or 3. I don't think I add more than 3 sequins to any stitch. And I've generally put them in order, so that I put the biggest sequin on the needle first, and then a medium and a small, or just a medium, that sort of thing, because I want them all to be seen. So they are various shades of pink. There's a few silvers, a few golds, all mixed in. There's a couple of pink ones that I've used quite a lot of. In fact, there's even some small little black ones just to continue to echo the black theme. But they're meant to be random. And in fact, I don't know about you, but sometimes random is harder than organised. So I'm trying not to overthink it. I'm just looking at the size of the sequins as I add them to the needle, and I'm also looking at which rays that I'm actually adding them to. I don't want them to be too regimented, and so that's the bottom half done. I didn't want to subject you to it all on camera, and then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to have a look at the top. So there are all the sequins now finished. I think that adds a bit more sparkle, and I really like the way that those looks. And it didn't actually take that long at all actually to sew them all on, because I had actually sorted them in advance. So this is the layout finished. Here's the final photo, and there's some close-ups as well, so you'll be able to see not only the clusters but the sequins too. Thank you so much for watching. Do check out the Hey Little Magpie store, and I'll hope to see you here again soon. Bye for now.